Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the internals of the rifle and the disassembly of the rifle. First, the rifle comes with this handy little H&K tool set. And it's just a series of wrenches and flathead screwdriver and fillet screwdriver. Actually, this is the same tool I've seen ship with the SL8 rifle many years ago. So to disassemble the rifle, the first thing that you'll need to do is remove the disassembly tool from the buttstock. The disassembly tool is right in here. All you do is rotate this. It's just a friction fit. Rotate the buttstock, remove it. Here you can see the storage compartments I was talking about earlier. And then inside right here, you have your disassembly tool. And it just has a modified Allen head wrench, basically. Now, to remove the takedown pins, they're in the standard location. They are different though. It does require the use of this disassembly tool. What you need to do is you'll see that this is indented on each of the takedown pins. You take your disassembly tool, insert it, and it's spring loaded. You can see how it goes in, and you just push the pin across. You can't do this without this tool. Once you remove those pins, they pop out just like a standard AR-15, and then the upper and lower just separate, as you would expect. Now the next step, you can remove this handguard. To remove the handguard, you select the appropriate sized wrench. Actually, I'm crazy here. This is the right wrench. Stick it in there, loosen it up, unscrew this, and then it does have a retaining feature so it doesn't come all the way out so you won't lose it in the field, and then the handguard just slides right off the rifle. And that exposes your gas system. Now, removing the bolt and carrier group is just like a standard AR-15. You grab your charging handle, pull that charging handle to the rear, and the bolt and carrier slide right out of the weapon. And there you have the bolt and carrier and your charging handle. Now, the gas piston can be removed as well. You just pull this to the rear. That comes out, and there's your gas piston. Now let's talk about disassembling the bolt carrier itself. Taking a look at the bolt and carrier group, you can see that it has some very distinct differences to a standard AR-15 style bolt and carrier. And this is the standard one here on the top. Disassembly is pretty much familiar to you if you're used to the standard AR-15, even though the components are still somewhat different and non-interchangeable with your standard AR-15. I'm going to go ahead and use the disassembly tool that I use to take the upper and lower receivers apart to start the disassembly process. Now, you will be used to a firing pin retaining pin. That's a little cotter pin. It's different on this rifle. This pin is captive, and it will not come out of the bolt carrier. So you can push that pin across, get it started, it comes out. I keep my firing pin, which has a spring on it, from flying out here by putting my finger in there, and you just pull this pin across, and it locks. It won't come all the way out. Then on the underside, you'll see that your firing pin is then free, along with the spring, to come out of the carrier. And there's your spring. It's a little bit different than your standard AR-15 spring, and that's your firing pin. Now the bolt comes out just like you're used to. You have the cam pin, which just pulls out, and then the bolt comes out of the carrier. Now you'll notice that, again, the bolt is different from your standard AR-15 style bolt. It's a lot beefier, a lot heavier, and on this particular bolt, you can actually see the German proof marks. Now, the MR556A1 is manufactured, many parts, right here in the United States. However, many of the small parts, like the bolt and some of the other internal parts, are actually manufactured in Germany and imported. And those import marks become obvious when you take a look for them. All right, so that's how you disassemble the MR556A1's bolt and carrier assembly. Very similar, yet as you can see, very different, and none of these components are interchangeable with your standard AR-15. Now, remating the upper and lower receiver on the MR556A1 is a little bit different than your standard AR-15 because it requires the use of this disassembly tool, because this disassembly tool is a reassembly tool. And this is one of the features of the rifle I really don't like. Now, to reassemble, you have to put the upper and lower receivers together like a standard AR-15, but now you have to go through the added step of applying pressure with a finger and inserting the disassembly tool to release the detent and pushing it across into the locked position. You have to do that for the both front pin and rear pin. It's a little bit strange, and I can't say I'm a fan, but once you get used to it, it goes pretty quickly. Just don't lose that disassembly tool, because you will need something small and long. A bullet tip isn't going to do it. It needs this disassembly tool or something of the same size and shape.